Hello and welcome to today's art lesson. So today we're going to be working with the idea of cube division. Now last time we talked about cube replication, where we took one cube and repeated it over and over in sequence on the same plane. Now this time what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a cube, we're going to be dividing it and dividing it some more and making fragmented cubes from the same cube. Now I got a few things to show you here to kind of explain the concept. So as you can see, what I have here is a constructed cube, a cube divided, a cube that I've divided here using the method that I'm going to explain today. And I have an empty cube. Now I've been on the rocks on which markers I want to use for this, but now after looking from a distance, I think the yellow is a little too transparent for this exercise for you to view. So I'm going to be using a light gray in place of that. So what we're going to be doing, using the same tools that we did, are the same tools that we used in cube replication or cube multiplication, aka the X formation and the plus formation. We're going to use that information to create cube division. Okay? It's a really simple tool, and you can use that, as with the example on the left side, to make weird, more dynamic cubes within the context or within the confines of the cube that you're working with. You can get really elaborate with it, okay? So, to start off, you're going to, see if I have the right tip here, there we go, we want to use this tip. You're going to make your X formation, just like before. So the X formation goes on the corners of your cube in perspective. Like so. So now you have the X formation, right? You're basically setting up quadrants for your cube here. Now, you got to do the plus formation. So you got to get the center plus vertical and horizontal. You got to get the certain center line there. So you're making a line to your vanishing point right, because my the cube or the plane that I'm working with is on the right side. So I'm a little off here, that's fine. Now we got to do the vertical line to establish the vertical center of this cube. To help me see, I'm going to outline this because I have so many yellow lines here that I'm having a hard time seeing the edges of my cube here. And I need to have better vision here. So what we have now is we have the right face of this cube, and we've broken them into quarters. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters of this right face of this cube. Now, what we need to do is establish the left face of the cube and get that into quarters and get the top into quarters. And I'm going to outline this cube because it's going to make it so much easier later on. To have this drawn out so I won't have problems later. Now, I thought I was being prepared and outlined ahead of time in yellow, but now I know that that was a mistake. After seeing it via video, I'm like, it's not enough. I thought to myself that this would be a problem, but I didn't realize how much of a problem it would be. So, as you can see, I've outlined the cube in a light gray. I got the right face set up in quarters. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the left side in quarters. We don't necessarily have to do the top. Technically, you won't have to after you get this side, because now we can actually break this down into more quarters. So let's just get this into quarters here. Doing the X formation here. Okay, now we got to do a vertical line to bisect the cube on the left side in half. Going to do the same horizontally to cut it into quarters. So now we have two faces of the cube cut into quarters. What we want to do is we want to make it even more. We're going to cut the top into quarters. And since we already have the information, albeit the information is right here, it's where these 2 points intersect through the top edge of the left and right plane here. So now what we have is this basically a really simple Rubik's Cube. There's only 4 faces, right? So it's a really simple Rubik's Cube. Now, what do we do with this information? That's the question. Now, since we're going to try to achieve what is basically cube division, let's say I want to take this front cube out. Like, what if I were to take, what if this Rubik's Cube was a bunch of cubes just stacked on top of each other, and I wanted to remove this cube? How would I do that? Well, there's a few things we need to do to kind of set that up, and I want you to get used to this, is we need to find the center of this cube. So what we need to do again is I need to find the bottom plane. I gotta imagine this cube as if it's invisible. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing the lines that emphasize the bottom plane of this cube. Now remember what the bottom plane is. That's the bottom of the actual object. So we have the front plane, which is the left and right, the top plane, and the bottom plane. So now we have the information. What we kind of have going here is we need to make another X formation. But I'm going to skip that step because I don't necessarily need that, because this cube is right in the central vanishing point. So I don't need to have all the information. So I'm going to skip that step and use what I have available to me. So we know that the center of this cube lines up pretty close. The center of this cube lines up pretty close to the leading edge, right? So the center lines up pretty close to the leading edge of right here. So the leading edge is the front line, the front corner closest to the viewer. So we know that the center of this line lines up with this leading edge. So since I know that, all I really need to do is, and I've already kind of drawn the line out for me, is we need to make lines that go towards your left and right vanishing point starting from here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm making lines going towards this left and right vanishing point. We're going to start with we're going to use a yellow marker. That way, I'll know when to stop with my gray marker. And lo and behold, the gray marker falls down. So I'm going to take out this front cube here, and I'm just making a few lines to really dial in the information that I need for this piece. So this line goes all the way to the right vanishing point. This line goes all the way to the left vanishing point, basically showing me where this leading edge, this top plane is, if I were to remove this cube from this shape. And where they intersect right here shows where it divots in. So now I know where the that cube is going to, what that space is going to look like if I were to remove it from this cube shape here. So I'm going to do some quick lines here to show you. Now this is kind of deceiving because what I have here is a lot of lines. What you essentially have here is a lot of lines, a lot of actions that are necessary to remove just this front plane, just this cube, right? If you look at my cube on the right here, it took me like a ton of time. I don't know how long it took. I spent a long time just making all the lines that I need to pull out forms. You have to do a lot of work to do something so simple as removing a chunk out of that cube. Now you can in theory skip a lot of these steps. You can imagine what they look like. You can do a lot of things that involve you just going to the left and right vanishing point, but this is a way to kind of do it in quarters and eighths and sixteenths, and they can keep going down further and further each time. So I'm going to draw this out right quick to kind of demonstrate what I did here. So I'm going to draw a point here to show you the leading edge. I'm going to put a little bit of some points here to define that top plane. Now this is a very advanced technique, and as stated, it takes a lot of movements or a lot of actions, a lot of steps to do a very simple action. So as you can see, things start to form here. Hopefully it doesn't get lost in all the lines that I have set here. But what this method teaches you is it teaches you to look at your forms kind of transparently. And to look through your forms. All right. So you can barely see it here because I have so many action lines. Well, we're going to do something. I'm going to try this out and see what happens. I have an idea. I have an idea that might shed some light to the whole situation. I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. So I'm going to add a gray tone to the top planes of this cube that I just made so you can visually see what I did. So I took a cube, that was a cube, and then I basically subtracted a section out of it. So now instead of having a block, we have something that could be like a part of the building. Right? We have a deck of a house. So now what you have, instead of having a cube, you got a different shape inside here. As I said, I pulled out this form, and now we have a form of cube division. And you can keep doing this, right? Let's say that we want to let's say that we want to do this again. This time, we're just going to, we already have this half. Maybe we want to do something to this front here again. Maybe we want to make a window or something, or a room, or we want to bore out a section. You basically bisect it in half again, although I slipped. Of course, I'm always messing up. Oh, I mess up during live sessions all the time. Oh, I'm used to it by now. So now what you can do is you can break this quarters into quarters. So you have this quarter section into quarters. And you can, in theory, break this down further, right? What if I wanted to make a pathway? Or a little opening in this area here. But I wanted it to make sure that it goes in the correct perspective, right? So maybe I want to make like a contemporary room or contemporary building. All blocky and geometric, right? This is a way you can do it. See? So now you can keep dividing your forms and making it more and more elaborate. So this is a way you can do cube division. Remember, you use the X formation, the plus formation to divide your forms into quarters. And then you can go further and further, as in-depth or as macro as you want, or micro, not macro. Go as micro as you want to make this even more elaborate forms. Just like, as you can see with this example on the right. So, that is it for today. I just wanted to show you how to divide your cube into sections and make them smaller and smaller, and to make more elaborate and interesting forms using the cube division method. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.